Hey y'all, Ashley Victoria Langford, your credit solutionist, owner of PX Credit Solutions, where we help you secure your financial future today. Today, I'm going to be talking about the top 5 most common reasons that your rental application has been denied. Whether you're going for a house that you're renting or an apartment, townhome, condo, I don't care what it is. I have an answer for you today. I have 5 answers and actually a little bit more. We're going to expound on a lot. And for those of you that don't know, in addition to being a credit solutionist, your girl has experience in housing. I've been in the housing industry since 2008 in one capacity or another. As you guys know, I am a property owner. I own land. I don't have any actual homes yet, but I have land. And I've also been working in the capacity of a landlord in the past, which approved and denied applications. There's a lot of insider stuff that I want to share with you guys today about how that happens and how we base some of our denials on your application. A lot of it's not stuff that you would even think to consider. We have very slick ways of denying you. Now, I am not a landlord anymore, but I do still work in housing in the capacity of an auditor. So I work with a software company that is a liaison between property owners and the federal government. So I have a lot of experience in HUD housing, and there are multiple programs. I've probably been doing that, 15 years now. I've been an auditor for at least about 10. Because property management really wasn't my jam. I did not like actually having to apply or process applications and then evict people. It sucks. But anyway, I want you to come on in, take off your shoes, let me know what you're drinking. You know I got you. But like I said, your girl's connected, okay? I know all about the fair housing laws that y'all don't know about. And we're going to talk about it today because a lot of y'all get denied and you don't know that you can fight back. So I'm going to talk about some insider secrets today. If you've been denied, let me know in the chat. You know, this is something that we've all been through. I've been denied. When I got denied for my first apartment I applied for back in Hollywood years ago, when my credit was snickerdoodles, I decided to take it upon myself and create a solution. It was something I never thought to do, but I defended myself against those landlords. So anyway, enough about that. Like the video as you come in. I'm just setting up my presentation for you guys because we're going to actually look at some slides so I could stay on task. I've missed you guys. I've missed doing regular stuff, regular content creation, and I just haven't been doing it. But I miss you guys. So we're going to pull it up. I think I saved it properly, but we're going to find out in a minute. But top 5 reasons for rental application denial. Let me open it up here. Make sure everything's good. And don't forget, guys, join the free Facebook group. The link is in the description. I'll drop it in the chat as I go as well. In today's video, though, I am going to go through all the slides. If you have questions, I will address them at the end of the live if I am around. So that's how we're going to do it today, okay? It's like classroom setting. All right, guys, because this channel really is about education. All right, but here you go. Top 5 reasons for rental application denial. As I said, I have been there, y'all. I've been denied. I've had friends that have been denied. I would even venture to say my parents probably got denied for stuff too, you know? And there's a reason for all of this. You have to remember, rentals are a business. They are investments. A owner, a landlord, whomever is not in the business of moving people in that need housing. They're in the business of moving people in that can help their bottom line. Let's be real. That's why you guys come here and talk to me, because I am real. I tell you this during our consultations that you can book over at mycreditcall.com, by the way, right? We could talk about this. But 5 reasons for rental application denial. Ain't nobody playing with y'all. So I'm going to get you the real deal information. So let's go ahead and turn off this music. And we're going to get to it. All right. Now, there are 1,000 reasons that a property management company or landlord or owner will deny your rental application. I came up with just 5. There are a ton of different ways, but we're going to talk about this. Now, it's highly important that you understand the rental application process from the beginning. The issue that a lot of people have is the lack of knowing. Knowing is only half the battle, and then implementing the strategy that we come up with when you get denied is really where the magic happens. Whenever a landlord tells you no, you should never just take no for an answer. I'm sorry, that's not the final answer. There are fair housing laws that these people have to follow. They have to give you a reason for your denial. And also, if your application shows that you qualify, you need to fight that and figure out why it is that they denied you. There are 1,000,001 ways that you can figure this out. Now, I want you to follow along. And like I said, ask questions in the chat, and then I'm going to answer them at the end of the presentation. Okay. So when it comes to housing, you want to be in tip-top shape whenever you go look at the property, when you apply at the property, when you present your documentation, and when you communicate with management or the owner, because every single interaction that you have is going to be something that they're going to use to base their decision. So if you go in there looking crazy, raggedy, whatever, you cannot be shocked that they don't want to rent to you in that downtown high-rise building on the 22nd floor. You can't be upset about that. Okay. Because sometimes landlords will look at you and they'll say, oh, I don't want that element in my building. Let me find a reason to deny that person. And yes, sometimes they will use your color. They do. Okay. I'm here to tell you guys the truth. It's not very common in bigger cities. Some people say it is, but I think it's just because those people don't know how to actually fight. So we're going to talk about that. Now, the number one reason that I always see that people run into when they comment on my videos is insufficient income. This is the number one reason most people get denied. Now, a lot of people will try to say that they have enough income, but the truth of the matter is, if you make $15 an hour and you're trying to get an apartment that's over $1,500 a month, you're going to have a problem, because you have to not only show the landlord that your rent is only going to take about 30% of your income as a whole, your gross income, by the way, which is already not fair, but your 30% of your gross income, and then you must make 3 to 4 times the rent. That is the standard now. The thing that I find a little funny about this rule is that they say 3 to 4 times the rent of your gross pay. Your gross pay is drastically different than what your net pay is going to be. So you're almost getting set up to fail from the beginning, right? Because if I base your qualifications on your gross rent, I am not accounting for the fact that you're going to have taxes. I'm not accounting for the fact that you're going to have deductions, right? Could be child support, health insurance, 401k. You're going to have all these deductions come out after the gross pay. So when you think about it, expecting you to make 3 to 4 times the rent and then penalizing you for not making it makes no sense anyway, because your gross pay is not even what you're going to use to pay the rent with. So I'm explaining this to you so you can see how the rental process really is a little bit incoherent. It's a little bit, it's silly when you really think about it, because as you know, if I'm an auditor, I work with numbers. Those numbers don't make sense to me already, right? Already. Now, the common issues, like I said, are insufficient income, because you may not have enough cash income, which is very hard to prove. I was, how do I explain it? I was denied for an apartment here in Virginia when I first tried to move to this city that I'm in, because of the fact that with my business income, they didn't feel like that was valid enough for them to approve me for the apartment. And I was like, what? Went to an apartment across town where I really wanted to live anyway, and they approved me right away. They were like, oh, okay, well, show us your business income. Oh, here you go. And they were like, sold. So I'm saying all that to say, a lot of times you can have the money and the owner really just doesn't want to work with you. They could have denied me because they felt like, oh, well, business income is kind of touch and go. Like, maybe 1 month you won't make as many sales as you have been making. I even showed them my YouTube check and they were like, nah. So it's like, technically speaking, if they don't want to rent to you, they will find a reason not to do it. I've only been denied for an apartment, I want to say twice in my entire adult life. And that was the second time. So it happens to everybody, y'all. I don't want you to feel like there's something wrong or like you're being discriminated against, because sometimes you're not. A lot of times there could be a candidate in front of you that they feel is more suitable. Again, guys, if you're coming in like the stream, I'm not even looking at the chat right now, but just like the stream and all that stuff when you come in. Cash income, very hard to show. If you're working under the table, let's say you have a 9 to 5, the 9 to 5 is not sufficient on the pay stubs, but you do make extra income on the side. Cash income is hard to show. So how are you going to document that? Well, there's a way to get around it, and we'll talk about it, okay? Proof of income is always going to be key in this scenario. So here are some solutions for income issues. Provide the pay stubs, of course. Bank statements, that's with you cash people. So let's say that you have the pay stubs, but you also get additional income like child support. You get stuff if you do like jobs under the table or above the table, or if you babysit, you have extra cash coming in that really shows that you do make 3 to 4 times the income. Bank statements are going to be a key. Now, one thing that I will tell you about bank statements though, I see them as a blessing and a curse, because I'm thinking of it from an affordable housing auditor perspective. If you show me your bank statements, I'm looking at everything, because it's different when you go into like Section 8 housing. I have to actually pay attention to your assets and what comes in, what goes out. Do you have life insurance? Do you have, certain types of expenses? We catch a lot of people cheating the system in Section 8 that have Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, all of the areas that people hide money. Okay, that's part of the reason that now if you make over $600, they're going to report that to the government. There's a reason for that, okay? So bank statements are a great way to monitor and report and record your cash income. You can also get a letter from your employer. A lot of times people don't know this, but if you're moving to a new area, and let's say that you want to, you haven't started yet, but the job itself is going to provide that 3 to 4 times the income that you need so you can meet the requirement. You can show the landlord an offer letter that shows that. I've done that before. And that was what I did when I tried to get my first apartment out in California, in Hollywood. I had just started working. Actually, I didn't just start working, but I had been at my corporate job for a couple of years. So I knew I had the income. But because of negative items on my credit report, they denied me, because I showed them the offer letter. I showed them my current income at the time. And I showed them like, hey, I got more money than y'all even require for this place. What gives, And it turned out it was actually some collections that were on my credit report that I was fighting. But let me go back here. Let me see if I can get it back up here. So a letter from the employer can help. So if you relocate and you have that offer letter, show that, because that is your proof of income, right? They can't deny you because the income is not coming in at that moment if you have proof that it will be there at the time that you rent. Now, here's a caveat though. If someone is already in line ahead of you that has pay stubs versus an employment letter, I'm just going to say it objectively. As an owner, I would go for the person that has the pay stubs, because they're one step ahead of you. So that's one of those unfortunate moments where you are going to be bumped out, but that's not discrimination. That just means somebody had solid income you were not able to show yet, because how do we know that your employer, your pending employer, is not going to come back later and offer that job to somebody else or make that position redundant, and then you won't get to start? I've seen that happen before. You can also consider a cosigner. This is a little dangerous, and I recommend only using a cosigner if you are someone that is renting for the first time. So this is great for teenagers that are going off to college. This is great for someone that's lived with their parents, even if you're a full-grown adult, like a full-fledged adult, and you've only ever lived with your parents. You definitely need to get a cosigner. I'm sorry. I mean, it's just safer to do that, but also make sure that your cosigner is somebody that has credit that is worthy. Okay. Like if your parents have a mortgage, that's going to be fantastic. They're probably going to get approved. If your parent is also renting, maybe, I don't know. It really depends on what their credit report looks like. Okay. Now, the other thing here that you want to do to get over that hurdle of insufficient income is to provide a larger security deposit. Now, y'all fight me so much on my video that I have where I talk about renting an apartment. Y'all fight me in those comments. Y'all, I stopped fighting for my life against y'all because I know for a fact paying more on a security deposit or paying more months of rent, it works. I know it works because I've done it. When that company in Hollywood denied me for my apartment, guess what I did? I said, hey, I'll give you 3 times the deposit because, like I said, I got the money. They said yes. So I know it works. I'm not telling you something that is a fairy tale. You have to allow yourself to explore and open your mind to the opportunities that are in front of you. Do not tell yourself because one person left a comment under my video that says, well, I tried it and it didn't work. Yeah, well, what were the other factors? Did you go into that interview or that showing of that unit looking presentable? Did you have a good attitude? You know, did you complete your application in full? There's something else there that's not gelling. And also, what is on your credit report? Because if you have new collections on your credit report, they have every right to deny you, to deny you. They can do that. That's the beauty of being a landlord and having your own stuff that you own. Okay? But a larger security deposit does work. It does. That's a hill I'm about to die on. I'm dying on it. Like up the stream as you come in. I'm dying on that hill. Come get me. So the number 2 reason that your rental application was denied is your credit history. That's what we were just talking about. Landlords check your credit score for financial responsibility. Now, I have something else to say about that. They don't just check it for financial responsibility. They check it to see what you are financially responsible for. They want to know if you have child support. They want to know if you have liens and judgments. They want to know if you have a job. They want to know how much debt you have because they can then calculate your debt to income ratio. Your debt to income ratio, surprisingly, is not on your credit report. I think a lot of people make that mistake of thinking that. There's no way that I know how much income you make based on what is reported on your credit report. Your annual income is not listed there. But here's a little trick that owners use to determine whether or not you qualify income-wise. Let's say you have 5 credit cards on your credit report, and each month you are only paying the minimum deposit or minimum balance on each one of those credit cards. If I was an owner looking at your credit report and I only saw you making minimum payments and not paying off the bills, not paying off the credit cards, I would already assume you don't make enough money. Because why are you only paying your minimum payments instead of paying more to where you are eventually at 0? That's the trick. Nobody knows what your income is by your credit report. I hope that makes sense. If that makes sense, and there's people here, because again, I'm not checking the chat, put a 1 in the chat if that makes sense to you. Like I said, y'all, I work in compliance and auditing. Y'all, I do it probably 2 to 3 hours a day. My day, it's very minuscule. It's like a flash in the pan, right? I think I got done with my assigned portfolio at like 11 o'clock this morning. And I think I started at like 9. Just kicking them back. Like, nope. Okay. But what I'm saying is that there are slick ways that we can deny you based on what is on your credit report. Okay. If I see that you have a credit card that has like a $15,000 balance and your minimum payment's like $400 a month and you only pull in like $3,400 after taxes, I am not going to approve you. I'm not. Now, I'm not currently a landlord, so let me say that. So I'm not saying that that's what I do. I am not a landlord. I'm just saying that from an auditing perspective, I would not approve you. And I would vouch more for the owner than the applicant in that respect, because it does not make financial sense. As I said at the beginning, landlords, particularly big commercial landlords. They do have a monopoly on your city. I don't care what city or town you live in. They have a monopoly somewhere in your city, county, or state. And they are run by a board of people. The owner is very rarely involved. The true owner, the person with the deed, very rarely involved. And the property management company or real estate company, their job is to get the owner the most revenue possible. And they do that by approving the best candidate possible. Sometimes we have to accept that we are not the best candidate. Okay. Like when I applied for this place, if somebody else made, let's say $1,000 more than I did, and their credit was just amazing, I'd understand if they denied me. I'd understand that, So just want to be clear about that. All right. Again, don't forget to like the stream as you come in, guys, and join the Facebook group, Credit Pro Academy _ no, dash. Y'all, I don't know. I'm gonna put the link in the description. But if you have rental questions, go over to the Facebook group and talk about it. So look for the Credit Pro Academy. It's the group in Facebook where you have to request to join. If you request to join it, answer the questions. It takes 2 seconds. Answer the questions and we'll get you in there. Bring your rental questions to that group, okay? Now, common issues with credit history: low credit score, missed payments, and high debt. We just talked about high debt. So when it comes to the low credit score part, it's not just that you have collections on your credit report that make your score low. It is your actual credit utilization that makes your score low. Now, there are some landlords that allow you to pay rent with your credit cards, and that's cool. But when you do that, just remember that your debt to income ratio is going to be trashed if you do that. Okay. So be careful. High debt, missed payments. So we already know if you don't pay your bills and if you show like late payments, recent late payments, because remember the new scoring model with FICO is FICO 10T. FICO 10T takes a snapshot of the last 24 months. So if your credit report is low, your credit score is low based on FICO 10T, the landlord knows that that is something that happened in the last 24 months, which means you are a liability. I would deny you too. But that's why you would come to me, because if you need a letter written to plead your case, I can do that for you. Okay. That's not even really a service that I offer. But I could do it and then charge you, just pay me through PayPal. So you have to advocate for yourself. That's really the solution here. You have to advocate for yourself. Okay, I want to talk more about this. So a lot of the reason that you get denials and the owner does not even give you a second look is because you don't fight. Just like with your credit report, a credit reporting agency will keep reporting stuff about you. A collection agency will keep reporting stuff about you until you start to advocate for yourself. Right? I know I'm making sense here. Because half the time, if something illegal happens to you, the law don't care until you step up and advocate. Go do a police report. Go do what you need to do. Nobody cares until you raise your hand and start advocating for yourself. It's no different in the rental world. Okay, it's the same. So if they deny you, kick back a response, write them back and say, hey, I need to get a better understanding of why I was denied. Sometimes they'll just say there were more worthy candidates. Okay, well, that doesn't help me. And I'm going to show you a way around that toward the end of this presentation. But you can improve your credit history issues by advocating for yourself, start fighting those negative items on your credit report. Again, that is why you hire me over at PX Credit Solutions. Now, we do this on a case-by-case basis now. Okay, so I have to look at your credit report. So you need to go over to My Score IQ, get your credit report for $1, send it to me, book a consultation. We will go over it and I will tell you what you need to do to get fixed. And if you want me to help you fix your credit, then I will. There is a fee for that. Okay. Now, pay off your debts. That's a great thing to do before you try to go out and get an apartment, because showing that you made all those payments or are working on those payments and have documented payment arrangements, I can't really deny you because I can see that though you may have had a misstep, you are trying. You are recalibrating your finances and you're getting back on track. I do think that a person that is taking those steps towards progress deserves a chance. Absolutely. Okay. Provide explanations for the negative marks, y'all. This is huge. That's why we're going to put it huge on the screen. This is massive. Advocate for yourself. There is nobody on the planet that's going to advocate for you as hard as you are. Explain it. You know what I told that apartment in Hollywood when they denied me at first? I said, hey, half of this stuff on this credit report ain't mine. I'm fighting it right now. And that's when they kicked back and said, hey, just give us a higher deposit and the apartment's yours. Y'all said hell to the nah, because an apartment 2 blocks away approved me as soon as I applied, and it was $150 less per month. Forget them. Sometimes you just need to know that a system works, even if you don't want the apartment. You just need to know that the method works. And that's what I did, because I was like, so I'm going to get this one apartment that's right on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, where I'm risking having homeless people right on my stoop. Yes, it's the Hollywood Walk of Fame, but it's not that safe over here. Versus going over a couple of blocks over to the media district, which is so much better, so much calmer. And there's houses over there too. So the neighborhood is just different. And we actually had the cheapest rent on the block. Do you really think I messed with that three-month deposit or 3 times the deposit people anymore? Hell no. Hell no. And the other apartment was remodeled. Y'all, it had a fireplace. Let me keep going. Like the stream as you come in. Okay, so offer references from previous landlords. This is a really good one that a lot of people don't think about. You can ask your landlord, your manager, your property management company to write something for you. You can do that. And I think that that is something that you absolutely have the right to do. And you, if you're getting denied repeatedly, you're in a place right now where you have to do this stuff. Okay? You have to. You don't have a choice. Or you're just going to keep getting denied. Okay? Let me take a sip. I feel like I'm just chatting. We are already about to be 30 minutes in. Your girl's trying to get healthy. I have a treadmill right here too, and a weight bench right there. Don't come for me. We're going to be snatched. Don't worry about it. So here's some solutions for the rental history issues. Let me make sure. Let me go back here. Yeah, that was your credit history issues. Okay. So we're going on number 3 now. Rental history. That's where we are. Sorry, y'all. I hope I didn't confuse y'all. Okay, so rental history is the number 3 of the top 5 reasons that your application's getting denied. And don't worry, we will give you some solutions on how to work around that. So landlords assess your reliability through your rental history. This is the reason that background checks exist. Like even in dating, it's crazy. Like you have to literally run a background check on a person now if you start dating them. Or you have to be very crafty with the questions that you ask, because as our boy Dr. Phil says, the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. That's just what happens, you guys. That's why when you get out of jail, if you're a felon, that felony is going to follow you forever, because people have to be aware of who they're dealing with before they make the conscious decision to work with you. If I'm going to do business with somebody, I honestly do talk to that person a couple of times on the phone so I can see what their personality is like. Now, I'm not going to name names, but I've definitely chatted with some people offline that y'all think are just amazing. And those people are kind of crazy offline. Like I said, I ain't gonna say no names because I don't want that smoke. But knowing somebody's history or letting people tell on themselves essentially will help you in making decisions. It's the same with a landlord. If you have a history of 10 years of debt, but only 1 year of positive history, I'm sorry, but we have to look at the longer stretch of negative stuff. We have to, okay? And that's in life as well, all right? Again, hopefully FICO 10T is going to help a lot of people with this if you've gotten your act together in the last 2 years, okay? So they assess your Reliability through rental history. If you left your last place in shambles and you did not get your deposit back, I'm sorry, that landlord is not going to give you a positive reference. On the flip side, let's actually dive into this a little bit more. I'll tell you guys about a scenario that I had. Actually, it was my very last property management job back in 2013, I think it was. I had a guy that well, yeah, I'm going to tell the story. I might as well, since we're here, and I don't even know how many people are here, but if you're still here watching, thank you so much. So here's here's a case where you could be a crappy tenant, but the previous landlord will actually give you a raving review, because I had to do this once, and I'm not going to say what company it was with, but we had a guy that as soon as I got to the property, I'm very by the book. They didn't like that. They were like, okay, F this girl. Who is she? You know, we're not following rules. And this guy got so mad that he told my maintenance guy he was going to grab a pew pew and he was going to pew pew me. Oh man, y'all, he was like 70 something. But based on the history of this country I believed he was going to shoot me. I believed he was going to pew pew me. And to get rid of this guy, we basically told him, hey, we're not going to evict you, but you have to go. Because I ended up getting a restraining order against this guy. And the judge was like, granted, because that man was crazy. And he said, we said, hey, we're not going to evict you, but you have this much time to move. Get out of here. So, because again, if he has a restraining order against me and I live on site, he can't stay there. He's never going to have a moment where he's 300 yards away from me. So he had to leave. His bad, and So what happened was he was going into another property and we received the landlord reference sheet. And I remember my boss at the time told me, hey, Ash, you want to get rid of him. So we're just going to put positive marks so we can get him the hell out of here. These are the conversations that happen behind the scenes. Okay. We talk about y'all. I'm not a landlord anymore, but landlord be discussing you. Okay. But yeah, that is what we ended up having to do. So we got him up out of there. We lied. Granted, that's not the best practice, but sometimes a landlord will say positive things to get you the hell out. Okay. So if you want to go have that discussion with your landlord, like if you're not the best tenant, but you need, glowing remarks on that next reference, talk to your manager and say, hey, if you level with me, if you tell the truth about the issues that we have, I'm going to be here longer because we're going to have to go through the eviction process, yada, yada, yada. But if you can just put some pretty nice remarks, I'll be out of here within 30 days. So that was my story, y'all. But anyway, rental history does matter. If you have a history of tearing up your apartment, I am not going to rent to you. I'm sorry. If I see that maybe your pet messed up the previous unit, I'm not going to rent to you. I will find a reason to not rent to you. Okay. That is how landlords think. Okay. Common issues aside from having negative marks are that no rental history is a big issue. Now you can go through certain third parties and get your rent payments actually reported. Rent Reporters is a good one. So check that out. I believe rentreporters.com is still active. You can do that. Where I live here, they actually do report my timely payments to the credit bureau. So I do have that benefit living here. It's not something that I'm too crazy about, only because if you do run into an issue where you pay your rent late one month, that is going to negatively affect your credit report. Okay. So that's a blessing and a curse, but no rental history is a big deal. So get yourself some rental history. Gaps in your rental history could be an issue as well if you don't have an explanation for it. I would say gaps in your rental history are not so bad because you could go overseas for something. You could have had a situation where you had a roommate. Like when I was actually here, let me do this. When I was going to move overseas back in 2015 or 2016, I was planning to move overseas to Australia and I was going to do it. Like I was literally this close, right? And only a handful of people knew it. And before I left, the reason that I was going to leave was because I had an apartment in Orange County, California. And then I ended up while I was in Australia, I just made the decision one night. I said, you know what? I'm going to give my 30-day notice, and then I'm just going to get a roommate in LA until I leave. So what I ended up doing was moving into someone's house and having like half of the house mine, half of the house was my roommate's. That does not show up anywhere in my rental history. So it literally looks like for 6 months to almost a year, I didn't live anywhere because I had my Orange County apartment and then there's this gap. And then all of a sudden I pop up in Hollywood on my credit report. So that could cause a question because your landlord doesn't really know, okay, did you go to jail? Did you skip the country? Like what happened, you know? So you could lack rental history because of something like that. That's never been an issue for me. Nobody's ever asked me any questions. If anything, they would be more concerned with gaps in your employment history, not rental history. So that one's not that big, but it is something that a picky landlord will look at. Okay. Unpaid balances. This one's huge. Nearly every single one of the clients that I work with at PX Credit Solutions with the credit restoration part where we fix your credit, we repair issues. 9 times out of 10, they have unpaid balances from a previous landlord. Y'all landlords are relentless. They are going to pursue you until they get that money. And that's why sometimes you got to be careful who you rent to, because a lot of times people will have one person that is the actual leaseholder, and then they'll sublease it to the other person, or somebody is a co-signer. And then the person that you co-sign for skips out on the rent. That affects you, right? That affects you and that other person. So unpaid balances are a big deal. So don't skip over that, okay? Your renting past does actually count, okay? So here are some solutions. Provide references from your previous landlords, like that situation with the guy with the pew that I talked about. Now I want to talk about parents, but I'm going to circle back to that. Offer to pay a larger security deposit. We mentioned that on the other one. And then explain the gaps in your rental history along with your unpaid balances. That is huge. Remember when I said you have to advocate for yourself? That's what I'm talking about. Explaining. It's more than just putting in an application, getting a denial. Oh, I'm going to move on. Because the more you keep applying at new places without trying to fight for yourself, your credit score is going to start decreasing too, because you're going to have too many people running your credit. Okay. You can shoot yourself in the foot by doing that. So let's talk about parents. Parents are a unique solution, in my opinion, because let's say you do live with your parents and your parents don't actually collect rent from you, or they do collect rent. Either way, if you live in your parents' house, you are a tenant if you are over the age of 18. It takes your parent all of 10 minutes to draft up a lease and put that you paid this amount of rent every month. They have copies of leases at Office Max, Staples. You could find a template online. If you need a template, I got one. Okay. If you need a lease template, hit me up over at thecreditsolutionist@gmail.com or sign up at fixmyficonow.com. Okay. Email me at one of those two places. But I had a guy do this once. I was going to repair his credit, and for his student loans, they told him, hey, if you could show how much disposable income you have every month, we can lower your payment to XYZ. I told him, you live with your mom, get your mom to say you pay this much money for rent. That is then going to lower the amount of disposable income you have per month, and it's going to lower the payment that they are going to give you for your income-based repayment plan. I just gave y'all some game, and I know that's going to go over so many heads, but I'm okay with it. It's out there in the ether now. Go ahead and rewind this part of the presentation, because that is something for another part. Advocate for yourself. So if you need that rental history, like I said, have your parents draft up a lease, and you take that lease to that landlord and say, hey, I know there's no rental history on my credit report, but here, I want to show you that I actually do pay rent. I've been paying rent for X amount of years. Here are the leases. Can your parents do that for you? Yes, they can. Open your mouth. Ask. They want you out of their house too. As bad as you want to leave, they want you out too. Make them help you. The landlord is not going to investigate and go beat on your mom's door and ask her, hey, did he really pay $1,200 a month? No. Moving on. I literally just told you how to explain rental gap history. I literally just gave it to you. And I just helped you get that was some game for those of you that do income-based repayments for your student loans. Oh God, I gave you so much game. I should have charged y'all for that. Oh. Okay, so the number 4 reason, and if there's anybody still here, I'm not looking at the chat. If there's anybody here, go ahead and like the stream. Like I said, join the Facebook group over at the Credit Pro Academy. Link is already in the description of this video. Okay, answer a couple questions and you can get in there. It's free of charge. Ask me your questions about this video there. Okay, that's where you'll really get my undivided attention. Don't forget to super chat too, because everything you guys contribute to this channel keeps me going. Okay. It really does, but feel free to super chat. I appreciate y'all so much. All right, so references are the number 4 reason that you are having issues getting approved for your apartment. And I'm going to tell you what to do about it, okay? So references give insight to your character and reliability. This is self-explanatory. This is why even employers do background checks and check your references. I remember at my last corporate job, I was like the software trainer for the company, for that like division of the company. And like, I sat next to the accountant, and the accountant, well, actually, no, she's an accountant now. Let me take that back. She's not an accountant now, or she wasn't an accountant then, but she is now. But before, when she was there, she was the HR assistant. So like an HR generalist type thing. And I used to hear her all the time in the background. Hey, this is so-and-so from this company. I'm calling to check, do you know so-and-so? She would actually really check the references. A lot of people are under the assumption that people are like landlords and stuff are just asking just to ask. No, they're not. They're asking because they need to fact check what you told them. So if you're going to do the thing like our boy Glendon Cameron did, where he said he was Mr. Patel, he pretended to be one of his references. I don't condone that, but I also don't. Y'all, let me shut up because the Feds be watching. Use your discretion. Use your discretion if you're going to do that, okay? If you're going to pretend to be your own reference, because you have to remember too, we are not in the days of like Radio Shack and all the old school stuff that us older millennials and Gen X, I guess, and boomers were familiar with, right? It's harder to fake the system now because people have social media. They can check to see if this reference truly exists, right? LinkedIn. Let's say you put like a fake boss on there. I will tell you, let me make myself big. The very first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go to LinkedIn. If you put that you worked with Bob Ross, oh my God, Richard Simmons, I don't know anybody's name. But if you say that you worked with John Q, whatever, and it was at this company for this many years, if I go to that person and I look at their LinkedIn and it literally does not post that company at all, I got questions. I'm going to actually hit them up in LinkedIn. That's what I'm going to do, because you got to remember, I'm going in it with an auditor's mind. I'm going in it with a compliance background. Okay. So that's what I would do. I wouldn't just call them. I would do more research. I would. And I wouldn't even use the number you provided. I would go to LinkedIn, send them a message. Hey, do you know so-and-so? And if that person doesn't know you, or if that person doesn't have positive things to say, you just shot yourself in the foot. So you want to be careful when you lie with references. This is only if if you happen to apply for a property management company that actually gives a damn. That's it. Okay. Common issues, like I said, bad or false references. You have to, if you're going to lie, embellish. I'm saying if you're going to embellish, because we don't want to use the word lie. If you're going to embellish, be smart about it. Okay? Tell the person. I cannot tell you how many times in my whole big age, I have had somebody call me and say, hey, do you know so-and-so? And I'd be like, what? Who? They said you were their sister. Y'all, I have 2 brothers. If I don't hear one of their names, I don't know what you told that person. You have to tell me who I'm supposed to be. Prepare your references, please. Okay. Now, some landlords will check. So if you're going to lie, cover all your bases. I'm going to make that big on the screen. Cover your bases. That's the last point on that screen. Stop lying. Because if you lie, we already know you're going to be a dishonest tenant. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. So solutions. Ensure that your references are legitimate and informed. Like I said, if I'm supposed to be your sister or your auntie, you better tell me before I get that call. You better tell me what to say before I get that call. Like the stream as you're coming in, guys. Join the Facebook group. Credit Pro Academy. Answer the questions. Get in the group. Provide additional character references if needed. Okay? Okay. Here are some other reasons. This is the meat and potatoes, and then I am going to close it on out. Inconsistent or false information, past evictions, and criminal history. I understand if you've gone to jail or paid your fines, you have paid your debt that you owe to society. But the landlord is also at liberty to not accept that and to say they don't want you. They can do that, okay? Particularly violent or drug offenses. Those are big. The drug offenses are huge because you could very well bring a certain element to the property that they don't want. You could also be operating your business that is illegal out of that apartment or that home, and they don't want to get mixed up with you. It's more trouble than it's worth. So don't always think of it as someone discriminating against you because you're a criminal or because your behavior has been documented by the legal system. It's not that. It's that they don't necessarily think you're a bad person. It's just there could be a lot that comes with you that just isn't worth it. Because then they might have to evict you. Then they'll have to market the apartment again. Let's say okay, let's give an example. Let's say you apply for an apartment that has children, old people. It's a family building, multifamily, or even a house. We'll use both. You have on your credit report or on your criminal history. Let me get ready because I'm about to hurt some feelings. I'll explain 2 different types of drugas. Let's say you have possession of meth or you went to jail for meth, whatever. I automatically let me say this. I would be cautious about you because you might cost me more money than you're worth, than your tenancy is worth. The 12 months of rent I'm going to get from you is not worth you messing up the environment inside of that home if you decide to go cook meth again. That's messed up. I shouldn't make a joke about that, but that's really messed up to move into somebody's place knowing that you're about to do a whole setup. Because as you guys know, if that particular substance has been found in a unit or in a home, that has to be reported. Like that unit has to be treated in a certain way. You can't just rent that place right away. So the risk of you doing that, I can't afford that. It's going to cost me more to get you out and fix the unit, market the unit, have to disclose that there was meth in there and all kind of stuff. You're causing me more trouble than your tenancy is worth. So that's the meth example. Second, let's say you got taken in for like possession of marijuana or something like that. I don't care if it's legal in your state. What you guys have to remember is that marijuana is still a Schedule 1 narcotic. So that's a federal thing. Okay. It's federal. That is different. So, number one, most apartments are smoke free. So, if I assume you're going to be a smoker, and let me clear the air right now, pun intended, I am a sympathizer. Okay. I may or may not have had a history with it. Not meth, the other stuff, the greenery. Okay. Now, I don't care if you get down. I don't care if you do it. But you're not going to be smoking that in my place. It stinks. It stinks. And for those people that use the blunt wraps, those have tobacco in them. I don't want that smell in my place, because when you leave, we now have to either wash down the walls, which most owners won't even do. A lot of times they have to use that special paint. I forget what it's called, but it removes like odors and stuff like that. If there's carpet, like you see in this room right here, I would absolutely know if somebody was regularly smoking in this unit. And let's even talk about cigarettes, because that's not illegal, but let's talk about cigarettes for a minute. I had the last apartment property manager job that I had a tenant. She had dementia. She was so sweet though. Y'all, she thought a dwarf was under her table, and like she had table legs that she thought were the dwarf's legs, but it looked like lion's feet. And I would just go in there and humor her. She would just say, "Oh, can you see him? He's under the table." And I'd just be like, "Oh yeah, he's there. I see his feet. Wow." But when I walked into her unit, her walls were this color. She damaged the hell out of that unit with her damn smoking. And every time I walked in there, I was like, Miss, we'll just call her Miss Edna. Miss Edna, girl, I smell like smoke in here. You been smoking? She was from Louisiana. She was a little white lady. She was cool though. That was my girl. When she was lucid, she was cool. But I'd be like, ma'am, it's dripping down the walls. You sure you ain't been smoking, Miss Edna? It's a little cloudy in here. Oh, no, honey, I haven't been smoking. Yeah, okay. So back to the drugs, y'all. You have to think of it from a landlord's perspective. It's a Schedule 1 narcotic still. So even though, yes, it's pretty harmless, if you really think about marijuana, it's pretty harmless, but I just don't want the repair cost that comes with it. So you got to give a landlord that kind of grace. They can say no to you. Okay. That's if, let's say that came back on your landlord reference. They say, oh, they smoked in the unit, or, oh, hey, there was suspected drug use in the unit. That's up to you if you want to pursue that for like defamation of character and stuff. That's up to you. Advocate for yourself. Not legal advice, but there's an angle there. So think about that. And a lot of times it might be legal in your state, but if you are in a smoke-free property, you should not be smoking. I don't care if the pot is legal or not. You shouldn't be smoking in the unit. Duh. You know? Sorry, y'all. I didn't mean to do that. All right, but we coming up to an hour, so I'm about to close this out. But anyway, smoking, pet concerns. Oh, I love you. I used to be a dog owner, but because I worked in housing, I knew how to control my dog. I did not let my dog pee and poop everywhere, but a lot of y'all do. A lot of y'all do. If I know that you have a pit bull, in certain states like California, you cannot have a pit bull in an apartment. Here in Virginia, it's different. You can have pit bulls inside of apartments. You can have, I think the only dogs they don't allow are like huskies. I remember when I lived in Orange County in California, in my apartment that I had back in like 2014, This guy had a Great Dane in a 1 bedroom. Ugh. What's that one meme? Brother, ugh. Brother, ugh. What is that? A Great Dane in a 1 bedroom? Ugh. Do you know what kind of output Great Danes have? If that thing decides to go and relieve itself in the apartment, baby, that's going down to the subfloor. You're not getting your deposit back. You're not getting your deposit back. And if I find out that you have a Great Dane, I'm not moving you in. I'm sorry. They will find a way to deny you legally. They're not even going to say it's the Great Dane. They're not going to say it's the pet. Because remember, your application, you have to actually tell the landlord I was going to say the make and model of your dog. It's not a make and model. You have to tell the landlord the breed and the age of your I was going to say of your kid. Oh my God, of your dog. They can deny you. So if you say, hey, I have a pit bull, they can deny you for that. That's not illegal. Because I'm sorry, guys, I know that we believe that pets are family, but when it comes to the legal system, pets are not family. The only time that the pet becomes more human-like and has some rights is if you do the assisted animal angle. But that involves legwork and paperwork too. That's a workaround that a lot of people do. You guys make the mistake most times of putting your dog as a pet instead of putting it as an emotional support animal or a trained service animal. Now, service animals are not the same. Those are actually trained for that. They wear special garments and things like that. But an emotional support animal is definitely some a workaround. Because I remember when I worked as a property manager in Section 8, when the assistive animal thing became a really big craze in the industry, there was a person that wanted to have a mini pony in their apartment, and the landlord could not tell them no because it was a support animal. Once again, that's a freebie. That's game that I just gave you that I should put behind a paywall. But I'm not gonna, because I love you. Like the stream as you come in. Too many occupants. Many people don't know that, let's say, I'll do California. If you have a studio, I believe the occupancy requirement or maximum for a studio is like 2 people. 1 bedroom, I believe, is 3 people because you can have 1 sleep in the living room, 2 can sleep in the bedroom. For a 1 bedroom, if there are 4 or 5 people, they will deny you. And they can deny you based on the fact that you will be overutilizing the unit. These are little things you guys don't think about. If you go to an apartment, you say, hey, I want to get a 1 bedroom, but by the way, I have 4 children. That landlord has every right to tell you no. Okay? They do. Because you will be overutilizing the unit. So you have to remember there are rules that go with this thing. Every denial is not illegitimate. You got to look at it from the compliance side like I'm doing. And that's why I came on here today to explain this to you guys. If, let's see, what else did I say here? Poor interview, property visit. So you could have a poor interview with the owner. You could have a poor experience at the property. Like, okay, I'll give you guys an example. It's not always that you say something negative. There were times where I went to look at an apartment and it was going to come up on my background anyway. So I told them, I said, oh, hey, I actually work in housing. Immediately you could feel the vibe change. They don't be wanting to rent to no damn property managers, y'all. So I stopped saying it because I could tell, because as I was walking around the property with them, I was like, ooh, like in the back of my head, I was like, ooh, what is going on here? Because as a property manager and as somebody with over 15, actually 16 years in the housing industry, I know what to look for. I know how to tell if a place is going to be crappy or not. I can tell. I can tell based on the hierarchy in the company. Is this owned by the actual owner, managed by the owner, or is it managed by an outside company? That will tell you right away how that place is going to be run. Okay. I can get into the weeds with that, but I'm not going to. So, yeah, you can actually, like, what do they say? Shoot yourself in the foot. Okay. And I used to, because oh yeah, I work in housing. Oh yeah, I'm an auditor. Oh yeah, I work with HUD. They be looking at me like, ah, shit, she can't, nah. She gonna report us. Like, nope, denied. Boop. This is the stuff they do. So be careful when you tell, like when you just be having conversations with the landlord or the manager. Sometimes you just got to shut up. Just look at the place and ask questions. Incomplete applications are big too. I deal with that a lot in housing. If your application is missing some vital information, and then the next person that applied after you put in that missing information, guess what? You just lost out on an apartment because you were not prepared. A management company is typically not going to chase you down if you have an incomplete application, especially if the property is hot. If it's a hot commodity, ain't nobody waiting for you. It's the same in HUD housing, even though they have to monitor the wait list and stuff like that. Nope, they don't wait. Typically with Section 8, maybe I'll talk about that on a different video because it's too detailed and layered to go into. There's another guy on YouTube that talks about Section 8 and stuff. Very fascinating industry, you guys. I recommend anybody that's interested, go into it. You'll always have a job. But yeah, it's one of those things where when it comes to Section 8, like they always have at least 5 in the chamber, to where if the first person didn't work out, there's already 4 other people that are approved to move in. So even if you miss a call, there's a like a rule where they can call you 3 times. And if you don't answer that third time that they try to call you, guess what? You're actually being pushed sometimes to the bottom of the list. Sometimes they'll actually even remove you from the Section 8 list if you're non-responsive or if your application is incomplete. Y'all didn't know that. And an owner has every right to deny you for not completing the application process. Just like as one of the girls here on YouTube, she doesn't do, not on YouTube, she's on Instagram, but I mean, she's a pretty big deal outside of the internet. But her name's actually Irene. It used to be Credit Irene, but now it's just Irene Day. She owns Hannah Financial. Check her out. She is she's awesome. I was gonna cuss. She is you know what? She is awesome. But yeah, like if you try to get her to do your taxes and you don't fill out your application or the paperwork with her properly, guess what? Bye. We don't need your money that bad. You have to follow the process. Okay. So that's a big reason a lot of people get denied. Applications, their rental application gets denied. Incomplete applications. If you don't tell me everything I need to know, why am I going to waste time chasing you? You want this apartment. Okay. So let's talk about these other issues and how to overcome, and then we're going to wrap up. So be honest and consistent on your application. If you're confused before you actually fill out the application, that is what my consultations are for. That is why you book me over at mycreditcall.com. It doesn't just have to be credit or debt. It could literally be, hey, I want to get this apartment and I have these questions. I'm even thinking we could probably set up, I'll have to think of the price point, but I will set up a specific call where you can tell me what your issues are. And then we'll do a FaceTime, not a FaceTime, but like a video conference like this. And I will tell you what to write based on the issues that you're having. I will tell you what to put in that application based on your circumstances. We'll do that. I could do that for you because realistically, I am a consultant. So I will consult you on that. Okay. I'll create a link on my Calendly or on my mycreditcall.com page. I'll create something for you guys, okay? Because I'm really gonna drive this housing thing home, because I see that it does garner a lot of attention when I do those videos. I'm surprised. Like I think each apartment video I did, well, at least one of them I know has like over 10,000 or 15,000 views. So I know that housing is a concern for you all, and affordable housing is a concern. All right, back to the slides. Address the past evictions and criminal history openly. They are going to find out. So speak up. Speak up. The reason services like mine exist is because you have to speak up with certain things. Don't lie and then get it and have it be uncovered. Let it be uncovered and then plead your case. That's what you do. Clarify smoking or pet policies. So you need to know right away, is there an issue with this particular breed? Oh, are there any kind of dogs? Like, okay, here's a quick like lesson in how to ask questions without divulging anything. If you're walking around a property and you know damn well you have a pit bull or a Great Dane, you literally say, "Oh, do you guys have any are y'all pet friendly by chance?" "Oh no, I don't have any pets right now, but I'm just wondering, are you guys pet friendly?" That's all you got to say. That's all you got to say. Because the truth of the matter is, you should not, if they have breed restrictions, you should not be disclosing the breed of that dog until you have your supportive animal paperwork. Duh. You just ask. When you're on that, if it's a place you know you're going to apply for, hey, are y'all pet friendly by chance? Because guess what? The supportive animal thing, they can't deny you because of that. That's like, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the rule in all, I was about to cuss, in all 50 states. Service animals, they can't be denied because they're not considered pets. There is no restriction on the type of animal. You could have a horse, of course, okay? Don't do that. Don't be foolish, but you could, because that reclassifies the animal. It is no longer a pet. Only you, the pet, and God know that it's a pet, but label it a service animal. Duh. Ensure compliant occupant numbers. Again, do not be trying to go into a 1-bedroom with 5 or 6 people. Many people just move in with the first person on the lease and then they move everybody else in after. Some managers care about that and some just let it slide. They let it, look, if you pay your rent every month, they don't care. Not legal advice. Prepare for interviews and property visits. Double check your application. Double check your application. Additional things to remember. Housing discrimination actually is illegal. A lot of times people will say a thing is housing discrimination, but I can tell they don't know what they're talking about. I know how to identify rental discrimination. Now, the beauty of the HUD program is that HUD keeps owners accountable. They have a form called, I think it's the HUD race and ethnic data form. You need to fill that out. And the reason is because let's say a property is predominantly one ethnicity or race of people. If one person applies that looks different than those people, gets denied, that is a potential fair housing complaint. You can only prove it by looking at the demographics of the property and having the demographics of the property actually recorded. So a lot of people are uncomfortable putting their race and ethnic data on forms. Stop it, because a lot of times it actually can help you. I know this because I used to manage a property, like when I first got started, I managed a property that was 90% Russian. So every time somebody was not Russian that came in there, we kind of did have to pay closer attention to those people to get them approved. We didn't bump them up the list or anything, but you have to pay attention to that stuff. Because typically what happens is, like, say a property is all one group of people. It's not that the landlord is discriminating against other people. What happens is some communities are so close knit that if one person gets the apartment, they'll tell all their friends and they'll say, hey, go get on this wait list. Hey, go apply at this apartment. That's typically how that happens. It's not because the landlord is intentionally making that place all one type of race or ethnicity. See, I can say that because I've worked in the compliance side. So I've seen it. Not everything is discrimination. Some of it is connections within a community and people taking advantage of that. That is not illegal. That is not illegal. Okay. So, but if you can prove that you've been discriminated against, you might actually have a case. So there are 7 protected classes: race and ethnicity. You guys know why. Color. Let's really talk about this. Color is a thing. And I know if you're on these internet streets and you're of a certain caliber, you've heard of the phrase colorism. It's real. Some people, they're okay with people that are my race, but they may not be okay with people of my race that are my complexion. That's all I'm going to say on that. Okay. That happens across nationalities and ethnicities. Okay. Let me take a sip after that. Like up the stream. Religion. That's another one. Now I worked for a nonprofit that's a Christian-based organization. You couldn't deny somebody for being Jewish. We couldn't do that. That's illegal, right? Nobody's ever going to outright tell you that they're discriminating against you because of that, okay? So that's going to be a hard one to prove. National origin. At one time in this country, there was a certain country in the Middle East that nobody wanted to associate with. They can't deny you because you're from that country. If you have all of your documentation, they can't deny you. If you feel like there's a suspicion of that, go to your fair housing office. Sex, gender, sexual orientation. This is actually more of a new occurrence only because of all of the different titles that we have now. Just in the regular world. That's all I'm going to say. They cannot discriminate against you because of that. Okay. So if you feel that that's what happened, you really do have to have concrete evidence. In certain cities and states, depending on the political sway there, you may not have to prove very much. You can just make the complaint and the owner will typically bend to your will. No pun intended. Disability. That's a big one too. But riddle me this. You have to also think about, I'm not going to get into the weeds with that. I'm not. But I will say this. If a property has shown to not be wheelchair friendly, it would behoove you to find a place that has a ramp and an elevator. Instead of pushing the issue of having an owner have to remodel their building. I had that happen once as a property manager. Like I said, I'm not going to get into the weeds on that, but yes, we got pressured into putting a ramp in a certain part of the property. And it was like, what? But then when you thought about it, it made sense, right? You can't really be denied because you're blind, right? Like where I live, we have Braille on the numbers. I don't live in a senior property. This is multifamily, but there's Braille. And I noticed that when I first got here, I was like, whoa, that's cool. That's really cool. And if you're blind, of course, the landlord has to actually accommodate that by having louder alarms in your unit. If you're wheelchair bound, they're in a perfect world, there should be some units that are mobility accessible where things are lower, sinks are lower, cabinets are lower, maybe a roll-in shower, right? Or walk-in, I should say walk-in because you're not going to roll in there in your wheelchair. But yeah, or if you are deaf, the smoke detectors and the fire alarms have to have flashing lights so they can accommodate your disability. Why do you think hotels are made the way they are? Right? So you can't really be discriminated against because you have that issue. Sometimes, again, you can actually pressure the owner to fix that. Now, how far you're going to get with that, I don't know. But I know in the affordable housing arena, you can get very far making those kind of complaints. Not legal advice. Familial status or military status. This is pretty big. Familial status would be this. If you are a same-sex couple, and let's say the owner doesn't believe in that, doesn't agree with it, the owner cannot deny you because you and your husband, wife, life partner want to move in. They can't deny you because of that. They can't deny you familial status wise. They can't deny you because you are a single person. They can't deny you because you're married. They can't deny you because of your familial status. If you are a parent that has a foster kid, they can't deny you because of that. They can't, I hope this is making sense. They can't deny you because you have children. Unless it is a place that's 62 and older, 55 and older, something, there has to be some sort of stipulation. That's all I'm going to say. Again, not legal advice. Age. This is huge. Now, I know I said there were 7 protected classes. There's actually 8. So I apologize for the mistake on the slides. But age, unless it's written in the regulation, like I managed properties that were 62 and older. If you were under 62, some of the programs stipulated that you had to have a verifiable disability and then you could get in if you were under 62. But age, like if you're 90 and you want to live in a hip part of town and you want to move to the top floor, if you can afford it, they can't deny you just because most of the people in the property are like 20 years old and you're 90. They can't deny you because of that. Unless it's like student housing. Even with student housing, I think as long as you're a student, you can get approved. Doesn't matter. You can be a student till the day you die. So these are protected classes. I hope you soak it in. Okay. Now, there are ways to dispute these if you think that this is why you were discriminated against. Oh God, let me tell you, I'll tell y'all the story. I didn't think I was being discriminated against. I just thought I was being cheated. And I'm going to tell you about the time I went to fair housing. So I actually went to fair housing twice. I did it once for that apartment that denied me. And I did tell them, I said, yeah, I'm going to go to fair housing about this because I have the income. I already told you what's going on with my credit report. This is not fair. I'm going to go ahead and write to fair housing. I didn't threaten them. I just say, hey, this is what I'm going to do because I just need to make sure that your denial, even though I qualify, is valid. I just want to make sure because I feel like there could be some, it feels a little weird. And that was when they gave me the counter offer to pay more security deposit. You see what happens when you advocate for yourself and you show them that you know your rights? The second time that I went to fair housing was when I lived in a place in Long Beach. I love that apartment, except it didn't have AC. Because the thing they do in California that y'all don't know is when you live close enough to the beach, the old apartments, they don't have to have AC. They just have to give you big windows. But anyway, they were going to try to charge me for repainting the unit. It was a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom. I was like, I only lived here for a year. Why are y'all repainting the unit? I never hung anything up. I took pictures when I first moved in and when I'm moving out. If anything, the only thing that you need to do is patch up the wall where I mounted my TV. Y'all, I went to fair housing so quick. Guess who got their entire security deposit back? Advocate for yourself. Don't say I didn't tell you. Don't say I didn't tell you that. Okay? Don't. Just don't. All right, let's go ahead and do the housekeeping. And then I'm going to check comments and stuff. Check out Credit Pro Academy. That is the Facebook group. Free, free, free. If you want access to me, but you don't want to really pay because I'm expensive, come on into the Credit Pro Academy over in Facebook. If it's the group that you just click and you're in, that's not the right one. You have to click and answer questions. That is the one that I have direct access to. Okay. So you can ask me any questions. They don't have to always be credit related. Okay. But join us. And then for my aspiring business owners, I want you guys to go over to Solutionist University. Link is going to be in the description. I want you to learn ways to increase your income. This is your year. A lot of you don't know that the majority of the income or the economy is run by small businesses. There are a ton of small businesses in this country. It's not all about the big conglomerates that you guys see. This company or this company, well, the country is a company, but this country runs on small business. If you can get out of a big city, you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay. So you want to learn how to get some leverage, right? You want a piece of that pie. So come on over and get the small business blueprint for the small fee that I charge for this course. Oh my God. It is a flash in the pan compared to the profit you will make once you become a business owner. Cut it out, y'all. Okay. People used to tell me that I talk too much. I'm too inquisitive. You know what I heard when they said that? Oh, that's how I'm going to make money because I'm making you uncomfortable. That means I'm on to something. You know what I do for a living now? I ask questions and I talk. What do you think I'm doing now? Whether you click on this video or off of it, I'm still getting a check from YouTube to do this. Now, what if I had listened to those people that told me, oh, you know, Victoria, oh, you talk too much. Listen, nah. I'd be sitting up in somebody's office right now. Okay? So if you have a skill, if you have an ability, okay? If you have a product, if you have a service, if you are good with your hands, get this course, okay? And then give me a review. I do have, I think, a couple of free lessons in there. Now, again, I put this together when I lived out in Lynchburg, when I first got to Virginia. I put a lot of attention into this. For like I put a lot of content in there because I want you guys to have the steps from A to Z. So that's what that's about. So I'm not going to beat that into y'all's heads, but small business blueprint. You can turn your idea into dollars in 30 days or less. Setting up a business does not take that long. It is cheap. Okay. Simple. Very simple process. Don't get overwhelmed. Okay. Now, again, if you want to talk to me, let's get together. I told y'all I'm going to add an extra link for talking about other stuff outside of credit and debt. Okay. If you have questions about just general things, now I'm not a therapist, so I will not be talking to you about your relationship unless your relationship does actually affect your finances, which a lot of y'all's does. We'll talk about it. But for the most part, yeah, I'm gonna hit you up. Okay. You could definitely hit me up for more than just credit or debt. Okay. I am not cheap, but again, it's a one-time investment in yourself. And the return is going to be so effing massive. Yeah, I said effing. It's going to be massive. Okay. So I want you guys to definitely pay attention to the things that I talked about in the top 5 reasons that you can get denied for housing. And just take it in. You know what I mean? Take it in. Like I said, I hadn't been looking at the comments, but y'all, I actually have to step away for a second because I actually have to like go. And then now that the presentation's over, I'm actually going to go ahead and put my timer on, and then I'll get with y'all in a second because y'all, I gotta go. Hydrating is hard. So let me see if I can find my little situation to add my timer. Guys, I'm back. It looks like nobody left any comments today. So I am going to go ahead and wrap it up. So if you guys found this content helpful, be sure to like the stream, share it with somebody that you think could benefit from it. We're pretty much approaching the fall, which means a lot of people are going to be looking for housing and you're going to need some help. I know it because of the view count that I get on all of my housing videos. Yes, y'all. Look at that picture right there. And that's all me too, y'all. Anyway, I'm done being silly with y'all. I gotta go. Next time, engage, you guys. You gotta chat, talk. I know you needed this video because we had a steady number of people here tonight. And yeah, I will see you guys on the next live stream. Let me know if there's a topic that you want to discuss and we'll get to it. All right. I'll see you guys probably later on this week. So join the Facebook group, Credit Pro Academy 1, number 1. I checked it again. Credit Pro Academy 1. I got it. Anyway, guys, I'll see you on the next one. All right. Credit Solutionist out.